The Lions. The Lions, the Lions, the Lions. Hey, before we get into this, hop over on this YouTube channel right now, hit that subscribe button. Lions fans, I need you to hop in on these comments right now. The 30-year curse is over. Burn the SOL, bury it, do whatever you need to do with it. The Lions broke the curse. They won a playoff game, and it was electric. It lived up to the hype. Ford Field, the environment lived up to the hype, and man, you've got the entire crowd cheering for Jared Goff as he exits the field. And I mean, Jared Goff is a big storyline. I do want to get into in this segment. Obviously, we know the story of Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit. The Rams played a very good game. The Rams did kind of what we thought they were going to do. I mean, Puka Nacua really couldn't be stopped. I think Brian Branch did a good job kind of bottling up Cooper Kupp. You didn't hear his name a lot, but this was just a good, hard-fought football game. And at the end of the day, dare I say, Dan Campbell outcoached Sean McVay on some key decisions. And man, I don't know what that 4-minute drill looks like in the Lions facilities, but I love it because they iced the game. And I think Jared Goff was even confused, like after the 2-minute warning and all of that, like that they had actually won the game. But from taking the long, I think it was like a 54-yard field goal with Badgley, which just seemed like not a Dan Campbell thing to do. He did it. They got the field goal, going for it on 4th and 2. I think the biggest call of the game was when truthfully the Lions should have been running the football. They called that awesome pass play to Amon-Ra St. Brown to put the game on ice, and that's Dan Campbell in a nutshell. That play doesn't go well yet. I mean, people might be scoffing at it, but it went well. He had the guts. He gets the glory. Lions get the win. Brant, take me through your thoughts on that game.
Just so happy for all my Lions friends, and just all the Snapchats I saw and all the Facebook posts and everything, all the social media of everyone at that game that decided to shell out that type of money. Good for you guys. I mean, what a night to have and to remember. And Dave, you highlighted some of the key aspects of the game, but I think this is really a testament to Dan. Like, wow. I did not see this coming, and he proved me wrong. Jared Goff has proved people wrong all year. This offense is good enough to win a Super Bowl. I'll start there. And it's starting to feel like with the Buccaneers beating the Eagles, this is setting up to be a run, a Super Bowl run. And that is so rare to have a path to where you can sit down and look at it and say, hey, we should be favored this weekend. I mean, who knows what the Packers and 49ers are going to end up like? You don't know. You could potentially pull the Packers into Ford Field in an NFC Championship scenario. Obviously, that's the dream scenario, but I think this offense is good enough to win the Super Bowl. This defense is not good enough to win the Super Bowl, so we're kind of at a crossroads. I feel very comfortable saying that. This defense still needs some work. They need to have some things go their way. They kind of dodged a bullet by Matthew Stafford, and I thought Sean McVay, with 2 minutes and some change to go, 4th and 14, take the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands and punt it. That's one where you might want to have Dan Campbell as your coach and say, we're going. I trust you guys. Let's go get this first down. That was another coaching move where Sean shriveled up, did his best Ryan Day impression, and went ahead and punted the ball. Now, I don't think that the Rams were necessarily a worse team than the Lions, but the Lions did enough, and they outcoached them here. Dave, the field goal, you mentioned it, had enough to get over the bar. That's all that matters, and they skated by. But you get this confidence. You get a Buccaneers team that is weirdly kind of hot, playing decent football, but nothing that you're not going to be favored in, and nothing that crowd behind a hot football team in the Lions themselves can't take care of.
Well, I want to talk about that crowd for a second because the crowd deserves part of this victory as well. The crowd forced the Rams into burning 2 of their timeouts, which came back in an absolute huge way, with the Rams only having a timeout left. For the Lions had the opportunity to put the game on ice, and that's exactly what they did. Brant, that's because of the Ford Field crowd.
Yeah,
It just is, and that is awesome. That lives up to everything that we thought it would be. And shout out to anybody who actually got to attend that game. I know I saw several people we know were in attendance at that game. I'm sure it was just absolutely incredible. But yeah, I mean, I want to just mention one thing here, Brant. Have you seen the clip of Brad Holmes in the elevator after the game?
I didn't see him in the elevator. I saw him in the locker room.
Okay. There is a clip of Brad Holmes going into the elevator after the game, and anybody who has not watched this yet, go ahead and watch it, amongst some other viral things with the Jared Goff stuff. And Brad Holmes screams, "Ah!" Like he lost his mind in there, and the elevator door closes as he is just screaming in there like a madman. And it gave me chills, Brand. It gave me chills for Lions fans, and because it represents so much. It represents the pain, the agony, the disappointment, the all of the stuff over the last 30 years. And I know Brad Holmes hasn't been here. I understand that. But that level of emotion, Brand, there's a reason why people are crying at this game, right? Like it's huge. It's huge for so many reasons. But for me, it was like when I watched that video, I'm like, man, this is the scream heard around the league right now, because Brad Holmes, I can talk about Dan Campbell for days. I think this is the product that you are seeing right now, the way these guys are fighting, the dogs that you see inside of these players, that's Dan Campbell. But what Brad Holmes did came to fruition Sunday night. And that was his very first move was to come in as a new GM after the Quinn Trisha era that burned that thing to the ground. He comes in, and what does he do? See you, Matthew. He trades the most beloved piece of this organization at that time, and people were, I think, some people were ready for it. Like, okay, I guess we gotta do something different, and others were like, why would you get rid of the one good thing that we have had? Like, Matthew's the only reason why we've been in games. Yada yada yada. He trades Matthew Stafford. He builds an absolute arsenal of draft picks. And Brant, I saw this graphic and I saved it because I wanted to read this on the pod. I can't believe this, that in the last 3 years, I'm going to read the names from the 21, 22, and 23 draft. And Lions fans, tell me if these names sound familiar. Do you hear these on a regular basis? Because these are the guys that when Brad Holmes burnt this thing to the ground, here's who he put in that locker room. 2021, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derek Barnes, Aleem McNeil, Iftu Melifanu, Jerry Jacobs. 2022, Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, Josh Paschal, Kirby Joseph. 2023, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell. Brand, I just named 14 players that I hear on a regular basis that contribute to this Lions team. There are a lot of good GMs in the league. I don't think anybody is as good as Brad Holmes when it comes to evaluating talent. Because not only is he good at evaluating football talent, but he does what I cringe at and I get sick of hearing, which is drafting the right kind of player. Like, he has put a great product in that locker room for Dan Campbell to work with. And this is what happens when leadership from the top down are all speaking the same language. You got Sheila, who has put these guys in the position and given them the keys to say, go build this thing and build us a winner. She's gotten out of the way. Then you add in Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes, he drafts, just like I said, the guys that he pegs, that he kind of scouts out and wants to put in that locker room. He does his thing. But it's not just there. He's drafting teams that fit the Dan Campbell profile of a football coach. He gets those guys with the right attitude in Dan's locker room. And then those are the guys that Dan's emotionally yelling at after the game, pumping them up. And that's why they look like they want to run through a brick wall for this guy. because from the top down, it's cohesive and it's never been that way. So, yeah, Lions fans, enjoy this. You should be soaking this up, absolutely soaking this up until Sunday at 2:59 p.m. I'm serious. Like, this is huge. You won that game. You're going to be, I know we're going to talk betting lines at the end of the podcast. You're going to be significantly favored over the Bucks. We're going to talk about them next, but you enjoy this moment and celebrate it.